where the earth remembers fire. Guatemala begins in a breath of smoke. From the highlands above Antigua, the twin silhouettes of Volcán de Fuego and Volcán Acatenango dominate the skyline, one eternally restless, the other contemplative and still. Fuego, true to its name, breathes fire with unpredictable rhythm. At dawn, a thin plume of ash unfurls into the sky, glowing rose and gold as the first sunlight brushes its slopes. And below, the land lives in quiet tension. Coffee plants grow in the very soil once scorched by lava. Their roots dig into fertile black ash, absorbing minerals from long-ago eruptions. Farmers tend these plants with reverence, aware that this generous earth once burned. On clear mornings, you can see them climbing the narrow terraces with baskets, the volcano behind them like a watchful ancestor. In nearby Antigua, the past is everywhere. Frozen in archways, cloisters, and churches fractured by earthquakes. The city was once the capital of Central America, until trembling ground forced its people to flee. Yet today, life has returned. Tourists sip coffee on cobbled streets. Street musicians echo marimba melodies through plazas framed by colonial ruins. The rhythm of life continues, side by side with the memory of catastrophe. But above all this, the volcanoes remain. Locals know to listen. A distant rumble might be dismissed. A stronger tremor prompts families to check radios, watch skies, recall the drills learned in childhood. It's not fear, it's a relationship. One forged over centuries between humans and land that breathes. This is a country shaped not by conquest alone, but by geology, by plates colliding, mountains forming, lava flowing. The Maya saw volcanoes not just as mountains, but as mouths of gods, speaking in fire and smoke. And even now, these ancient voices speak. Here, nature isn't a backdrop, it's a presence, a pulse beneath your feet. And so Guatemala begins not with a bang, but with a breath from the earth itself. The mirror of the sky. Tucked within a collapsed volcanic caldera, Lake Atitlan stretches like a sheet of liquid obsidian, reflecting not only clouds and sunlight, but centuries of memory. The Maya called it Atitlan, the place where the rainbow gets its colors. But it is more than just a lake. It is a threshold between worlds. Encircled by the three towering volcanoes, San Pedro, Atitlan, and Toliman, the lake mirrors both fire and calm. Its waters shift constantly, deep blue at dawn, shimmering silver by noon, and in the evening, painted in pinks and orange. Yet below the surface lies silence and secrets. Beneath Atitlan rests Samabaj, a submerged Maya city that once stood proudly on dry land. Some say it vanished after a great flood. Others believe tectonic forces pulled it below. Stone altars, stairways, and pottery now lie beneath meters of water, guarded by the chill and stillness of the lakebed. Divers who visit describe it as eerie, as if the city still waits to breathe again. On the surface, life continues, rich and multi-hued. 12 villages dot the shoreline, each with its own identity, shaped by the language spoken, the textiles worn, the rituals practiced. In Santiago Atitlan, saints are draped in scarves, cigars, and rum, offerings to Maximon, the controversial trickster spirit who bridges Catholicism and indigenous belief. In San Juan La Laguna, artists grind volcanic rock to create pigments for their canvases, painting birds, myths, and mountains. The lake also draws seekers. In San Marcos, yogis and healers arrive by boat, wrapped in linen and intention, seeking energy in the lake's natural vortexes. Some say they feel lighter here, as though the water holds something that can't be seen, only sensed. But even as outsiders come and go, the Maya remain. Women wash huipiles at the shore, their hands shaping the same rhythms as generations before. Children play in wooden canoes, their laughter scattering across the waves. The volcanoes loom above, ever present, ever patient, and the lake, like a mirror, reflects them all. To gaze into Atitlan is to glimpse something eternal, still, vibrant, watching. The jungle that whispers in glyphs. In the northern reaches of Guatemala, where roads fade into overgrowth and the air hums with unseen life, the Petén rainforest stretches wide and wild. It is one of Central America's last intact tropical forests, a place where heat presses against skin and sound never stops. Crickets, birds, the rustle of something just out of sight. Here, time feels circular. Trees grow over ruins, and ruins grow out of trees. Nowhere is this clearer than at Tikal, the ancient Maya city whose stone temples still breach the jungle canopy like teeth from a long-forgotten dream. Climb Temple 4 at dawn, and you may emerge through the mist into sky, the jungle stretching endlessly below like a breathing green ocean. Tikal was not just a city, it was a cosmos in stone. Every temple aligned with celestial bodies, every stela etched with glyphs of rulers, battles, and gods. In its prime, it rivaled the great cities of the world, its plazas filled with music, incense, and the murmur of markets. But nature is patient, and when the Maya moved on, the forest did not reclaim, it embraced. Now vines crawl across carved faces, cebas crack stone walls, and jaguars walk paths once trodden by priests. Yet Tikal is not silent. In the early morning, the echoing howl of monkeys breaks the air like sirens. Scarlet macaws flash across treetops and toucans toss fruit from branch to branch. Tapirs tread softly near waterholes, and somewhere, rare, shadowed, a jaguarundi slinks through the understory. Each footfall, each call, is part of a language spoken long before humans arrived. To visit is not simply to see ruins. It is to walk through layers of life, the architectural, the ecological, the mythical. Tourists move quietly, reverently. Local guides speak of gods and roots, of time as a spiral. They point to hidden altars, to sacred trees, to birds that were once considered messengers between worlds. And above all, the forest watches. Its leaves shimmer with history. Its soil holds offerings still waiting for discovery. The jungle forgets nothing but chooses when to reveal. Descent into the breath of the earth. There is a silence beneath Guatemala that hums with memory. In the heart of Alta Verapaz, the Candelaria caves stretch for miles, hidden, humid, and hollow. Formed by the ancient movement of water through limestone, these caverns are not merely geological wonders. To the Quechua Maya, they are the sacred veins of the earth, a place where spirits live Ancestors whisper, and prayers travel farther than sound. To step inside is to leave the world behind. Light dims, then disappears. The air cools. Moisture clings to skin. Your voice begins to echo and then vanishes, swallowed by chambers so vast they feel like the lungs of a slumbering god. Stalactites hang like frozen tears, some longer than a man is tall. Underground rivers flow in darkness, guiding fish that have never seen the sun. Their eyes are useless here. Instead, they feel vibrations, like pulses of the living stone. Bats flutter overhead, forming constellations in reverse. And at certain bends, the scent of copal smoke still lingers, remnants of ceremonies held centuries ago, when priests carried torches and murmured to the underworld. One chamber, vast and circular, is known to locals as the Cave of the Heartbeat. If you stand in silence, you may hear a slow thump, dripping water amplified by echo, like a pulse in stone. Shamans still come here to offer candles, tobacco, or cacao. The rituals aren't for show. They are contracts, with the earth, with memory, with unseen forces that shape fate. The Kekchi say these caves are alive, not metaphorically, but literally. They breathe, they listen, and sometimes they speak. Stories tell of travelers who entered alone and emerged changed, some awakened, others never the same. Archaeologists have found shards of Maya pottery here, laid intentionally beneath stalagmites, left untouched for 1,000 years. Not as trash, but as messages, spiritual deposits in a temple made not by man, but by time. To descend into the Candelaria system is to enter not just geology, but cosmology. This is not an empty void, it's a sacred geography. And in its deepest places, silence becomes presence. Darkness becomes origin, and the earth, at last, begins to tell its oldest story. The tides that return. What was lost? Where Guatemala touches the Pacific, the terrain shifts. Gone are the volcanic highlands and jungle thickets. Here the land lies low and hot. The sand is black, not from pollution, but from fire, volcanic ash pressed and polished by time. This is the coast of Monterrico, and it is a coastline unlike any other. By day, it shimmers beneath a burning sun. The waves are rough, fierce, and often unforgiving. Children play near the edge but know not to wade too deep. The current here pulls hard and does not let go easily. Fishermen launch their wooden boats at dawn, reading the tides like an old sacred language. Pelicans dive overhead, crabs skitter sideways, and every footprint is erased within minutes. But it is at night that the beach reveals its deeper story. Between July and December, under the veil of darkness, olive ridley sea turtles rise from the surf, ancient, armored, and purposeful. Each one hauls her weight across the hot sand, leaving a trail like a signature from another era. She digs with rhythmic patience, then lays dozens of eggs, fragile orbs that hold both life and uncertainty. For centuries, these nests were raided. Eggs were taken for food, for trade, for tradition. But something has changed. In recent years, locals, many of whom once collected turtle eggs, have become their guardians. Community-led hatcheries now line the beach, where the eggs are relocated, protected, and monitored with care. When the time is right under moonlight, the hatchlings are released, hundreds at once, crawling toward the sea like sparks toward wind. It's not always successful. Many don't survive. But some do, and those that return decades later will follow the same magnetic memory, arriving at the same stretch of sand, because that is how they are born. Just inland, the Sipacate Naranjo Mangrove Reserve offers sanctuary of another kind. Winding canals, brackish lagoons, and tangled roots form a labyrinth for herons, crocodiles, and iguanas. Mangroves here are both nursery and fortress, filtering salt, anchoring soil, and housing species found nowhere else. This coastal region is often overlooked. It lacks the dramatic peaks or storied ruins of the highlands, but what it holds is perhaps more vital, a quiet rhythm of return. Here, life does not just begin. It remembers the way back. Markets woven from memory. In the folds of Guatemala's western highlands, perched at over 2,000 meters above sea level, lies a town where time has no straight path. Chichicastenango is a place of contradictions, where Catholic saints wear Maya scarves, where incense drifts alongside cell phone ringtones, and where the past refuses to fade quietly. Every Thursday and Sunday, the town transforms. Its narrow, cobbled streets explode into a sensory tapestry. Stalls heavy with textiles, pyramids of fruit that gleam like jewels, and woven patterns so intricate they seem to pulse with stories. This is not a market designed for tourists, though they come in numbers. It is, at its core, a sacred commerce, a ritual of barter, of language, of lineage. Women dressed in hand-embroidered huipiles carry centuries on their shoulders. Each pattern, each thread color, tells a story of region, family, belief. Some designs are exclusive to certain villages. Others have been passed down for generations, unchanged. To wear them is to declare one's identity, not through words, but through artistry. At the center of this vibrant swirl stands the Church of Santo Tomas, its 18 steps representing the sacred months of the ancient Maya calendar. On these steps, history does not argue, it coexists. Catholic processions pass over pine needles laid in reverence. Inside, saints share altars with candles lit in silent petitions to Ajah, the Maya creator deity. The walls bear the weight of both crucifixion and cosmic balance. It is here that Maya shamans still perform ceremonies, burning copal, murmuring in quiche, offering prayers to mountain spirits, maize gods, and ancestors. Their rituals do not reject the imported faith. Instead, they braid it into something wholly Guatemalan. Above the town, the cemetery glows like a surreal dream. Tombs are painted in pastels, turquoise for mothers, pink for daughters, green for grandfathers. It is not morbid, but intimate, a dialogue with the dead. On All Saints' Day, families picnic among the graves, telling stories, flying kites, and offering the favorite dishes of the departed. And when the market closes, the magic lingers. Bits of marimba drift on the wind. The scent of incense clings to doorways. Stray dogs sleep beside unsold pineapples. And Chichicastenango exhales until the next time. Here, tradition isn't something preserved in museums. It's practiced, prayed, worn. the wooden heartbeat of a nation. When the sun sets behind the highlands of Quetzaltenango, or simply Xela, as locals call it, the mountains fall into shadow. But the streets begin to echo with something older than electricity: the warm, percussive voice of the marimba. This national instrument of Guatemala is more than sound. It is identity, carved into wood and strung with history. Each marimba is handmade, keys cut from rosewood, hollowed gourds or wooden boxes serving as resonators, and thin membranes stretched over holes to create that unmistakable buzz. Played in pairs or quartets, the instrument becomes communal. One melody, 4 hearts, 8 hands. The marimba's roots reach deep. It evolved from African instruments brought by enslaved people during colonial times, blended with indigenous rhythmic traditions and Spanish influences. In Guatemala, it was adopted not just as a musical tool, but as a spiritual bridge. In weddings, funerals, festivals, and street corners, it speaks where words cannot. In Xela, the municipal marimba ensemble still performs with unmatched grace. Their concerts draw young and old alike, and when the marimba begins, its notes tumbling like warm rain, you don't just hear it, you feel it in your chest. The vibration becomes memory. There is power in its subtleties. During the long years of dictatorship and civil unrest, when open protest was punished, the marimba carried hidden messages. Musicians encoded meanings in their rhythms, embedding resistance within lullabies and laments. It was music that defied silence, melodies that mourned the disappeared, celebrated resilience, and whispered survival. Today, the tradition is being passed on, often in oral form. Sheet music is rare. Instead, children learn by watching, by repetition, by ear. Grandfathers teach grandsons. Mothers teach daughters. In kitchens and patios, across generations, the marimba continues to speak. There are modern touches now, fusion with jazz, incorporation into pop, but the core remains untouched. The heartbeat is the same. And when you hear it echo across a plaza at dusk, drifting between pines and the smell of fresh tamales, you begin to understand. This is not just music. It is a wooden language, a memory keeper, a rhythm that connects people not only to each other, but to their ancestors, to the land, and to the unseen pulse of Guatemala itself. Desert roots in the Valley of Bones. In a land so often defined by its green, by jungle vines, volcanic coffee slopes, and moss-covered ruins, there lies a place where green disappears, where the air is dry and sharp, and the earth speaks in the language of survival. This is the Motagua Valley, a geological scar stretching eastward through Guatemala, flanked by the Cabañas and Las Minas mountain ranges. At first glance, it seems barren, a harsh expanse of cracked soil, thorny shrubs, and sun-bleached stone. But to look only at the surface is to miss the marvel. This is one of the most biodiverse dry forests in the Americas, and among the most threatened. Here, cacti rise like candelabras, some over 10 meters tall. Leafless trees twist in surreal formations shaped by wind and drought. Hidden among them lives a survivor from another age, the Motagua spiny-tailed iguana, jet black, prehistoric, and critically endangered. It clings to sun-warmed rocks like a fossil come alive. Once hunted, now protected, it symbolizes the fragile line between extinction and endurance. But it's not just life above ground that defines this valley, it's what lies beneath. The Motagua Fault is the physical scar of a tectonic boundary, the divide between the North American and Caribbean plates. Earthquakes here are common, but so too are treasures. The valley is one of the few places in the world where jadeite, the prized gemstone of the ancient Maya, is found. It's not just a mineral, it was once currency, art, ritual. Even today, local artisans extract and polish it, creating necklaces and amulets etched with ancient glyphs. Nearby, the town of Rio Hondo feels like a frontier post. Its streets bake under the sun, and its markets sell desert honey, iguana wood carvings, and heat-warped souvenirs. Most tourists pass it by, unaware that they are driving through a place where continents meet. Paleontologists and geologists treasure this land for its clues. Fossils of marine creatures, remnants of long-lost oceans, are scattered across dry hillsides. The soil tells stories of transformation, of sea becoming stone, of forests becoming fire. The Motagua Valley humbles in silence. There are no roaring waterfalls or grand cathedrals. Instead, it offers stillness, resilience, and a kind of quiet wisdom, a reminder that survival is a beauty all its own. The river that hides itself. In the lush folds of Alta Verapaz, where mist weaves between limestone cliffs and the jungle seems to breathe, there lies a natural riddle, Semuc Champey. Its name, from the Kiki Maya, means where the river hides beneath the earth. And it is precisely that, a turquoise puzzle suspended between gravity and magic. At first, it looks like a paradise untouched, a staircase of emerald pools nestled in dense rainforest, each one feeding the next in delicate, musical cascades. The water is impossibly clear, green in shadow, blue in sunlight, gold at the edges where minerals gather like spilled treasure. But beneath this serenity rumbles force. The mighty Rio Cahabon, which carved much of this karst landscape, does not flow gently here. It plunges underground, vanishing beneath the limestone, rushing unseen beneath the placid pools above. The calm you see is only a surface, literally suspended atop chaos. To locals, the site is sacred. Rituals were once held in its caves. Offerings dropped into the water were believed to carry prayers through the earth. Even today, children from nearby Lanquin swim in the pools with reverence. Their laughter is quiet, their movements slow. It's a place that demands softness. Above the pools, a steep path winds up to El Mirador, a lookout carved from jungle and sweat. The view from the top reveals the full contradiction. A wild river tamed for a moment, a corridor of light snaking through the dark. Vines hang like curtains, and butterflies drift lazily past. It feels like a world that doesn't need humans to exist, only to be witnessed. But Semuc Champey is not easy to reach. The road is rugged and rains often wash it out. Those who arrive have earned it, and in that difficulty lies its preservation. No resorts, no crowds, just the sound of water, stone, and trees in agreement. Nearby caves, like Kanba, offer deeper mysteries. Underground rivers, hidden chambers, and ancient markings remind visitors that this land has always held secrets. Guides lead tours by candlelight, their footsteps echoing across underground halls shaped by centuries. Semuc Champey doesn't ask to be explained. It invites you to float, to observe, to wonder. And when you finally leave, your skin still wet and eyes still dazzled, you carry with you a quiet realization. some truths flow just beneath the surface, and that's exactly where they belong. Ashes, memory, and rebirth. In the south-central heart of Guatemala, close to where the land begins to slope toward the coast, rises a restless peak, cloaked in ash and wind. This is Volcan Pacaya, young, volatile, and endlessly expressive. It is not the tallest nor the most violent, but perhaps the most accessible. And for that reason it leaves an impression not just on maps, but on memory. Pacaya doesn't hide. Its blackened slopes rise stark against the sky, often trailing smoke like a thought unfinished. Eruptions are frequent, but rarely catastrophic. Instead, it pulses. Small explosions, glowing lava flows, rivers of fire that snake through fields at night, like veins beneath skin. Hiking here is not just about ascent, it's about contrast. You begin among pine forests, the scent of resin thick in the air. Then the green vanishes, trees give way to rock, sharp, broken, whispering heat. The path turns to glassy shards of obsidian, still warm beneath your boots. The ground crackles softly, and if you pause, you may feel it tremble, not in fear, but in exhalation. Locals have made peace with the mountain's moods. Children roast marshmallows in glowing vents. Vendors sell volcanic rock carvings shaped like jaguars and saints. Farmers cultivate land at its base, their crops feeding on minerals born of fire. What once destroyed now nourishes. This truth echoes through all of Guatemala, in its people, whose traditions survived conquest and colonization, in its languages, over 20 Mayan tongues still spoken, in its landscapes, where ruins become roots and wounds become windows. Pacaya is not just a volcano, it is a mirror. It reflects the country's resilience, its refusal to sleep, its insistence on becoming again and again. And as the sun sets, casting long shadows across a terrain both burned and blooming, you realize that Guatemala is not a country you simply visit. It's a place you carry, with you, under your skin, like heat that lingers long after the fire has gone. Thank you for traveling with us through the wild, layered soul of Guatemala, where volcanoes breathe, lakes whisper, and memory rises from stone and soil. If this journey moved you, please leave a like, share your reflections in the comments, and subscribe for more narrated discoveries from around the world. Stay curious, stay healthy.